Well, this weekend, President Biden will speak at Morehouse College, a historically black institution. Today, he spoke with plaintiffs of the Brown versus the Board education case and their family members to honor the 70th anniversary of the ruling that integrated public schools in America. The events and others come while Mr. Biden is losing his favorability among black voters. In 2020, his favorability among black men was 87%. Now it's down to 57%, a 30-point drop. His rating among black women, 93 in 2020. That's now down to 77%. Some big-time liberals think, well, perhaps Mr. Biden is a lost cause for 2024 and would love it if Democrats would draft someone else. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith is the newest member of the Draft Michelle Obama Club.
And I think that Michelle Obama would win right now if she were to run. I think that Michelle Obama would, hands down, be the next president of the United States if she were to run against Trump, the presumptive GOP nominee. Now, that obviously is not going to happen. She doesn't seem to have an interest.
All right, with us now, NewsNation contributor Scott Boldman and Lauren Wright, associate research scholar and lecturer in politics at Princeton University. Welcome, Scott. We'll start with you because you're in studio, and you're going to tell me that he doesn't have a problem with African Americans.
I'm saying that he's got a challenge with African Americans right now, but we're 6 months out. And I'll be honest with you, when you have a binary choice, you know what I mean. When you have the choice,
0 or 1, binary.
Binary. Forgive me. That in the end, the African American voters are going to vote for Biden over Trump, but they've got to go to the polls. And Biden's got enough money for GoTV to get them to the polls. And when given that choice, I'm pretty sure those numbers that you put up, they may be down now, but they're going to be where they should be in 6 months in November.
Lauren, just historically, and no one group is exactly like other groups, but in terms of polling, has there ever been a time where someone has lost 30 points among a given and critical demographic and then been able to regain it, as Scott claims is going to happen in 6 months?
Well, I mean, the types of numbers Trump is posting with black men in particular, we haven't seen since Richard Nixon won. And so that should absolutely be an alarm bell to Democrats. I agree with Scott that most African-American voters will ultimately choose Biden. But when you see polling that shows Trump's getting double, triple what he was getting in the exit polls in 2020, that should be concerning. So should the 2022 midterms, where Republicans did pretty well among African Americans. Usually they get 5 to 7% of the vote. They got 10 to 14% on average. So that should be scary to Democrats. They should be worried.
Okay, and part of this is in terms of what have you done for me and how much certain groups feel taken for granted. Tomorrow, for example, President receives the Presidential Daily Brief. He delivers remarks at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. 3:30, he meets with leaders of the historically black sororities called the Divine Nine. Scott Bolden, then you will join him at Morehouse College in Atlanta for a speech. I think it's fair to say that a lot of black Democrats feel taken for granted by the Biden administration and taken for granted by the Democratic Party. How do you convince people in a speech rather than through action that you deserve another 4 years when in the first 4 years you didn't get a lot out of them?
I'd say a lot of African Americans, and I can't speak for all African Americans because we're not a monolithic group, feel of some level of neglect. But Americans, because of inflation and because of economic challenges, just aren't happy right now with prices. And while the statistics say one thing, those bread and butter issues are saying another thing. There's this emotional disconnect. But it's not the speech that's going to get his numbers up with African Americans. I don't accept the fact that he's down with African Americans. That's one poll, that's a snapshot. I will say this. In politics 101, you got to shore up your base, right? And if he's been neglectful of his base or if he's been focused on other things, you got to shore your base up to win. And he needs the black vote to do that. He needs the brown vote to do that. He needs gay Democrats to do that. He needs young people to do that. And there's a lot of, there's sections of displeasure with him in regard to the Israeli-Hamas war, but also the economy. And I just think Democrats aren't paying completely attention, but when they start to pay attention, that choice that they're going to make is going to be for Biden. Biden's challenge is to make sure that they get to the polls and they don't stay home.